Toronto, Indiana. No Kawhi Leonard sitting out the second night of a back-to-back. And Kyle Lowry, first game back after missing the last 6, paying immediate dividends. Toronto takes it.
Look at him, showing his leadership right there, Chris.
Victor Oladipo, not his best game. 6 for 15 from the field, 16 points, hitting that jumper. Indiana takes the lead with the Bojan bucket.
Then Powell said, let's play a little D to get out some easy transition buckets. And then Kyle Lowry has put a little Lowry's on it.
Wait, aren't they the ones supposed to have tired legs tonight after
supposedly
back from last night's game?
But now
Allegedly.
they're sharing, and they're letting it rain.
Fake news? Okay.
Toronto 10 for 18 from three-point range in the first half. Second half, there's Siakam running the break, one of 8 assists from Kyle Lowry.
He was hanging from the rim.
12 points, 10 rebounds for Siakam. Lowry, we've seen that so much in his career. Look, he's saying he's grabbing my arm too, and I'm still hitting the shot.
Ooh, is that the surge protector?
Yes, we're seeing that more often, protecting the rim and then hitting the open jumper.
7 of 9 from the floor for Ibaka.
18 points for him. And Chris Boucher knocking it down. Toronto shot 17 for 33 from three-point range. Their bench scored 52 points. And it's been a couple of years that we've been hearing about the Toronto Raptors bench having this kind of production. 8 different guys scoring double figures. They're now 8-2 when Kawhi Leonard sits, and now they're the first team to 30 wins this season in the NBA. That bench, a huge part of it.
Well, think about this. They scored 121 points against the number 1 team in the NBA in opponents' points per game. That's pretty darn good when you can do that. Obviously, having 8 guys scoring in double figures is part of it. But when you shoot 52 from the floor, 52 from the three-point line, 94 from the free throw line, you're having a good night.
Yeah, you're having a good night. Everyone's buying into sharing the basketball. And normally, though, Chris, when your superstar goes down, people try to do too much. I just think the way this team, from top to bottom, coaches realizing their roles. So when someone is out the game, someone else steps up, and then you bring back an all-star caliber guy like Kyle Lowry, he just carries his weight.
30 assists tonight for
30
Toronto.
assists, and 8 of them from Kyle Lowry. And something we've seen when Kyle has been out, it's not necessarily that first unit because Fred VanVleet's excellent, but with the second unit, they lack that point guard. To have Kyle Lowry step in without Kawhi is a huge luxury.
Well, it's a huge luxury to have an all-star caliber player back, but a lot of times when guys come back from injury, they try to do too much, where like tonight is Kyle took his time. Only 10 shots tonight, only 6, at halftime. So his first broken play, long rebound. How do you lose a guy like Kyle Lowry off a loose rebound? It's hard to do. He knocks down one of those threes we talked about. Now here in transition, you get a good half-court stop. You're pushing the ball down court, transition one-on-one defense, stop the ball. You don't stop the ball. You get the and one, you go to the free throw line, knock down your free throw. Now half-court set. This is the paces I'm talking about. Now you direct traffic, make sure everyone's in their position. You tell the big moves to come set a good screen. You turn the screen slowly. Nice pocket bounce pass so the big fella can catch it and finish the play. That's the leadership. That's the patience of having an all-star type player back like that, not trying to do too much but leading the show.
Certainly the Toronto Raptors leading the way in the Eastern Conference. Big weekend for them. Win over the Milwaukee Bucks and over the Indiana Pacers. Washington, OKC in action as well. Russell Westbrook.
Ooh, okay, all right. Kind of quiet tonight. That was what, leather pants? Jacket?
Yeah, for him, that's subdued.
Quiet, yeah.
The game, loud when he hits this 3 from the pass from Paul George.
I like it.
But the first quarter, it belonged to one Bradley Beal. Paul George, excellent defender. So is Steven Adams. Doesn't matter. 12 points in the first quarter for Beal. Part of a 16-2 Washington run.
You ever think that maybe in Beal's mind, without Wall being there, he's not thinking about, it's maybe John's time to get a shot, so I won't take this shot. He's got more freedom maybe mentally.
I like it, Coach.
Jeremy Grant from the DMV gets 3 of his 17, the and 1. And Otto Porter, welcome back, coming off the bench for the Wizards, providing a spark.
Come on, Otto, they need you. They need you.
Paul George, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Westbrook, A triple-double in the third quarter. Finished with 22, 15, and 13. But the Wizards see them ahead by 8 and pushing it. That's Otto Porter again hitting a big shot, and Beal stepping back for 3 more.
Well, sometimes you need to go to the bench maybe to wake Otto up a little bit. Uncle Jeffy knocks one down, so it's like the freedom, to Coach's point, everyone played with tonight.
Bradley Beal finished with 25, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. This is just the Wizards' first road win in their last 9 road games. In fact, it's their first win in OKC ever.
Ever?
1-9 franchise record when visiting OKC.
This was a huge win for Washington from the standpoint of when you think about the season, you go, wow, what a disappointing season Washington's having. When you look in the standings, they're 3 games out of being in that 8th spot in the playoffs. So big win for them.
Speaking of those bigs, Jarrett Allen plays big for the Brooklyn Nets on both ends of the floor. And so does Montrezl Harrell for the LA Clippers. I think we're seeing this theme here, right?
More hustle and more hustle.
And the hustle from the young fella. If you don't know his name, commit it to memory. John Collins running the floor for the Atlanta Hawks. That's up next on Game Time. Out of Minnesota, Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the president and head coach of the Timberwolves. According to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Ryan Saunders looks like he's in the running to step in as the interim head coach. What do you think of that decision, 3D?
I like it a lot. Obviously, his dad kind of setting the way for him and being around the franchise pretty much his whole life. And I think Coach being young and understanding what Cat and Wig and this young team's about. Derrick Rose is having a phenomenal year, comeback year, so to speak. He's been a part of that movement, working out with him on days off. So the question for me, Coach, is what advice can he reach out to someone like yourself to help him with in-game coaching decisions, things of that nature? But being able to relate to the players, knowing the system, I think he's ready for it.
First of all, we have to realize that they fired one of the top 5 coaches, in my opinion, in the NBA. Tom Thibodeau is a teacher. He's a game coach. He wins basketball games. So to make that decision, something was going on that we obviously don't know right now. The relationship with Saunders and the owner is the father connection. Flip Saunders was a very, very loyal person to the owner. And the owner, I think, always appreciated it, will never forget some of the things that Flip did for him along the way. I know this. Flip made him an awful lot of money at one point on one major decision that he had to make. And the owner, I don't ever think is going to forget that. Right. And as a result, he's seen his son pay the dues. He respects what the son has done, respects the son and father, and therefore he's given him a chance.
Well, according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, their source on Ryan Saunders being who Glenn Taylor wants as the head coach long term. So he's hoping that he can earn that spot. But we also have reports from multiple sources that Fred Hoiberg is in consideration for either the GM or the head coaching spot. So we're hearing 2 names out there. It's interesting because Fred Hoiberg was in Chicago following Tom Thibodeau, now could possibly follow him in Minnesota.
And they have Scott Layden still, I believe,
yes, Scott Layden's
still there. And Scott Layden gets along with everyone.
Yes.
Remember his pedigree, his background, coming out of that San Antonio program, a lot of people were after Scott Layden. So I think I hope Scott Layden's given a chance. If they bring Hoiberg in, can Layden and Hoiberg work together in the front office? That'd be something to look at.
Certainly a situation that is just now developing in Minnesota. But as we see this, you see Tom Thibodeau, like you say, a great coach in the league. Why make this move now at this point in the season?
Well, obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors, but to Coach's point earlier, the way our league is going, Cat has a direct line to the ownership. We know Wiggs just signed his new contract. Most of us around the NBA were saying to ourselves, what's taking this team so long to be further along when you look at Denver and other young teams who are winning and playing top-notch basketball? Lately, they're 5-3, they're playing good. Cat's playing out of his mind. Maybe they wanted to pull the trigger now, Coach, to get ready for maybe some more trades possibly before February.
Certainly an interesting situation that we will keep you updated on as the night progresses. Okay, so Karl Anthony Towns, 28 points in each of his last 7 games, but breaking news from Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau has been fired as the head coach. This, according to Adrian Wojnarowski and Sean Sharania, both Yahoo and ESPN reporting that Tom Thibodeau is out as the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And president too, right? I mean, he was the president too, coach. So when you get fired, you lose both of those jobs, right?
I think you lose both of them.
Yeah, I'm thinking you fire the coach and not fire the president, right? Because he was the president making the decisions for the coach.
Well,
right, Tom, for that?
That could happen. You could fire somebody as a coach and keep him in the front office.
Right, okay.
Okay, like Urban Meyer leaves Ohio State, but he's going to be around. Some
President and coach, he's out as both.
Yeah, as both.
So
That's
3D,
official. Okay.
Looking at the situation in Minnesota, why now?
Well, I guess, Glenn Taylor is the owner and sit down with his group and say he doesn't like the way things are going. The Jimmy Butler situation wasn't great. If you go back and look, and people say the Houston trade was probably better because there was more, picks there. So maybe they sit down and say, let's pull the trigger now before the All-Star break, before the trade deadline, if there's more moves to be made, Coach.
I look at it as because of their last stretch of 8 games, 5-3, brings them back into the playoff race. They're 2 games out of that 8th spot in the Western Conference. And you just got done saying how great Karl Anthony Towns has been playing. Karl Anthony Towns has a direct line to the owner of the team. That's how his contract got done over again. That wasn't a president making that move. That was the owner saying that. So maybe Karl Anthony Towns knows more than we do about what was going on in that situation. Perhaps that's the reason why we see a rejuvenated Karl Anthony Towns over the last 8 games. That's just speculation.
Well, again, this is reported right now. This is not official from the Minnesota Timberwolves, but if this is the case, you still have a team fighting for a playoff spot. What do they do now? How hard is it to find a head coach in the middle of a season?
I doubt that you make a move like that without knowing what direction you're heading in before.
Right.
Is it someone that's sitting out? And there are a number of recent head coaches that were fired that are sitting around, okay, that they might turn to. Or is there somebody within the organization that they have tremendous confidence in, that the players have shown the backing for that person, and that's who you turn to try and finish out, just like happened as Tyronn Lue took over in Cleveland and wound up finishing that season and was given the job full-time after that.
Yeah, in most cases, Chris, you stay within because one of those, if not all of those assistants collectively can continue to preach the system versus bringing a brand new coach in now and trying to, like to your point, last 8 games, Catman is rolling, so for a brand new coach to come in, now he has to either know the system they've been playing to kind of keep things going that way, or to your point, Coach, you're going to the top assistant you have in there. Maybe think Ed Pinckney, I think, is their top assistant right now.
I was just going to say.
He's been around a long time, and maybe it's an opportunity.
Ed Pinckney's been around a long time, has talked to a number of teams about possibly becoming their head coach. He's been by Thibodeau's side for a long, long time, and he's kind of been the go-between between players and coaching staff. Why not give him a chance? If
I think he deserves
it.
I think he deserves it. So it'll be interesting.
So apparently Ryan Saunders is reportedly going to fill in on an interim basis as a coach there in Minnesota. So when you hear that name, what's the first thing you think about, Coach?
Think of his father, Flip.
Yep.
This young man grew up in a basketball household, and everyone who has worked with him has nothing but really good things to say about Ryan. So if that's the direction they're going in, he's going to work. He knows the game of basketball, and he obviously must be able to relate to the players because of the positions they've put him in within the organization. So if he's getting that shot, you wish him well, and we'll see the job he can do.
Ryan's been around from day one, to your point, Coach, as a kid. The one short year I was there, he's always been one of those kind of kids that's related to the players. He's been with the organization. He knows where all the, as they say, where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. So I think he can fit in right away. And I think Cat and Wiggs and all those young guys that are there now, I think they would accept it as well.
More on this situation as it progresses. So we see Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the head coach there in Minnesota.